What's up? Hello, everybody. How's it hanging? Can you hear me very well? I'm further away from my microphone than I usually am, and so I'm not sure how it is. Let me know. Kinda quiet? Okay. How about this? We won't do that anymore. Okay, how about that? That'll do. Not ASMR this time. I'm planning on getting one of the new Elgato low profile arms, like the mic arms that come up this way, and I'm excited about it because then it won't be just like this overhanging thing. I tried to make it more friendly by putting my mud kip right here, but eh. How's it hanging, everybody? It has been kind of a chaotic week for me, I admit. So my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and then my brother-in-law's girlfriend all stayed with us so here's the story. They stayed with us this past weekend, from Boston and Philadelphia. And it's been fun having them around. They're nice people. And brother-in-law and his girlfriend, also Talon and Gabor, thank you so much for subbing. And Ben, thank you so much for the raid. But anyway, they were staying and they were going to be leaving on Monday, and my brother-in-law and his girlfriend, Randy and Kim, I'll just say that, their flights were canceled. And so we were just like, oh dang, guess you can stay with us one more day. Then their flights were canceled again and again. They just left now. Like they just got there. They were supposed to be gone on Monday and they just left today. So it's been kind of chaotic because they really wanted to go home and we're stuck in our house that's still like under construction. And so it's been a little chaotic, but it's been fun having people around. You got stuck in Chicago for 2 days this weekend too. Yeah, all these flights were canceled. Supposedly it's a combo of weather because we did have some thunderstorms and then also a pilot shortage because of COVID. And so that's not good. Ben, thank you so much for the gift subs. But yeah, it's been a day. I know that they're very happy to be home, and it was fun having them around, but it'll be kind of nice to have a bit more of a quiet house as well. My sister-in-law is still here, and she made me some tea with the mug with this emoji on there that my friend Lindsay made. So you can use that one. But yeah, it's been a hectic time. We were about to take off, then the pilot announced air traffic control had left the tower for fear of tornadoes. Wait, what flight were you on? Because that's what happened to my brother-in-law and sister too, and brother-in-law and girlfriend too. I don't want to dox you. You don't have to tell me, but it might have been the same flight. That was wild. Oh, Sioux Falls. Oh, dang. Yeah, no, it was all flights for sure. It was not great. There was actually, it wasn't yesterday, but the day before. They had 2 flights canceled yesterday and ended up staying with us again. The night before, so not yesterday, the day before, they actually got on the plane and yeah, they were sitting on the tarmac for 2.5 hours, and then suddenly the pilot was like, sorry, fam, get off, and they had to go back to the gate. It was wild. Oh my gosh. I would hate to be a flight desk customer support person at all. Even in general. Like, not even just on a bad travel day like this, like, in general, they deal with some crap. That is a lot of patience. Longest delay of your life was in Chicago. 40 hours. Oh my gosh. I think the longest delay I've had was in Dallas. I'm pretty sure that's when it was. That was a rough time. Yeah, getting off the flight, we were so convinced. Do you have Polywork VIP codes? Yes. 1 second, I'll get you one. What do you do after a long day of work to relax? It varies. I do not meditate, mostly because I'm not good at mindfulness. Okay, the code today for Polywork really quick is Spectrum. Spectrum is the Polywork code for today. I don't do yoga either because I'm not patient enough for yoga. I really like the kind of yoga where I can just lay down, like at the end. That part is great. But during, not so much. Honestly, I just like play video games or watch TV. I really do like to play music, but I haven't had a chance to very much lately. Soon I will in this house. But for the past year, we've lived in apartments where I can't play a trumpet in an apartment. The few times I tried, it did not go well for my neighbors. And so I'm very, very out of practice for the instruments that I like to play. But hey, we're in a house now. And so once we have furniture set up and everything, we'll be able to do it. Because we officially have a bed. We don't have bathroom mirrors. We have 2 couches, so watch out, world. That's it. We need to get like a table to eat at and coffee tables, side tables, things that you don't really consider until you don't have them. Yeah, I love sleeping. Nice, Jacob. That was going. How did you become so good at presentations and talks? Oh, well, thank you. Honestly, it's practice. I've been speaking for a long time. The tea is that Cassidy brought a house to play trumpet. That's right. I was thinking today, I kind of want to arrange the Bee Gees song, How Deep Is Your Love, for trumpet and piano. I think that could sound kind of cool. But I haven't arranged music in years, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, for speaking, public speaking, it truly is, I've just talked a long time. Hype train! And it's the kind of thing where you just kind of get better over time, like it truly is. I am not a natural public speaker. It truly is a practiced thing. I gave 2 talks this week, and like, one of the talks I definitely wrote the night before and finished my slides like 20 minutes before. I don't recommend that for people. That's something that I can do now because I've been speaking so much and I know how to speak. Melvin369, thank you so much for the sub. And so truly just write one talk and submit it everywhere. Submit it to like multiple conferences, to meetups, to hackathons, anyone who will listen to you speak. Keep improving the talk as you give it, and then spin it off into another talk, and just kind of reuse as much information as possible and get practice speaking in front of people. Words work with mouth good. Yes, thank you, Will. Correct. You're welcome, Corey Codes. Yeah, hype train emotes are a thing. I'm not very good at them, but look at that. We've got a dog now. I started using Obsidian thanks to your rec. Oh my gosh, it's so great. A list of notes inside another note. That is with Obsidian Data View. And actually, I can show that to you really quick because I was just playing with that. 1 second. Let me pull up my Obsidian stuff. What am I even doing with myself? Okay, 1 second. Okay, I'm trying to find an example. Okay. Tom. Okay, so let me make this bigger so that way you can see, and then I'll share my screen. Okay, so for example, I take a lot of notes from the Indie Hackers newsletter. I think it's very, very interesting. Even if it's just kind of things that make sense, it's good to read them sometimes. And because I put it around these brackets, it automatically creates a link. And so when I click on this, I now have my list of all of my notes in here. What that looks like is this. It's a data view, so the data view plugin, and I do list from Indie Hackers newsletter, and that is it. It is not particularly fancy, it is just these 2 lines. And I actually have a template for this, where it's a list references template, I call it. And so what it does is, if I have some list of links that doesn't exist, then I can create, like, for example, I made the Indie Hackers newsletter note, and then when I inserted this template, it pulled from the title and then added that inside of here and made the front matter and stuff. But yes, it's Obsidian and it's great. I really, really like it. Thank you, Propaganda Panda. Also, Ben, who is in the channel, Ben Codezen, he does Obsidian office hours. I'm gonna just type his name in there. He does Obsidian office hours every Thursday. He actually just finished his and came here. And so if you have lots of questions about Obsidian, he is the person to talk to. Also, hello. Yes. It is amazing for note-taking. Like, I can't tell you how fast I write my own newsletters now, because it used to take, like, it still takes me a while. It used to take me between like 3 and 5 hours to put together my newsletter every single week. But now with Obsidian, it's consistently less than 2, sometimes even less than 1. And it's purely because everything is all in one place and I can compile my notes together. My Obsidian theme, yes, I actually made it myself. I call it igneous because it's a type of rock, and obsidian is a rock. Here it is. There you go. Oh, hello, Obsidian? Yes. So that's my Obsidian theme. The fonts are custom ones that are ones that I got from Adobe. And so you might not have those fonts, but you can pull in whatever fonts you want. And I have some comments on that. What does a CEO do all day? What do you think is the job of a CEO? Business. I am not a CEO, so I can't fully answer this question with confidence, but it's keeping the business run smoothly. Like, handling, it's the person who everyone reports to. They report to the board. They guide the direction. They have the final say on things. It's a lot of meetings, and that is that. Nan.s, thank you so much for the sub. Yeah, it honestly just seems like meeting land. How do you overcome imposter syndrome and apply for a front-end role? Just do it anyway, even with imposter syndrome. You shouldn't be the one who says no to you working at a company. The company should be the one that says no to you. And so, apply, and who knows, they might just say yes. Yes, business, business, business. I still have kind of a mess behind me from, like, moving and stuff. I tried to hide it with my Portugal scarf right here, so you can't see any boxes or stacks of things behind it. And I keep noticing it. I'm just like, you can definitely see there's still mess behind that scarf, but it's fine. I am actually not using an XLR interface. This is the Shure MV7, and it's just USB. I just plug it in. And I did nothing fancy. Yeah. Was it difficult to enter Netlify? I wouldn't say difficult. Their interview process is not the easiest in the world, but I did think it was a pretty reasonable one. I've talked about their interview process before. Depending on the team, it'll be different. But my team in particular, we do a recruiter screen, hiring manager screen. The technical screen, we tell you what the questions are ahead of time. And then you do the technical screen. And then after that, it's just team interviews where you meet with everybody on the team and get a vibe. And it's great. Am I Portuguese? I'm not. I just went to Portugal. Although I do think that 23andMe said that there's some Portuguese-ness in there, but that it was basically just mutt for me, where my mom's side is Hispanic, and so it was all like Spanish and Mexican and like some South American, and there was some Portuguese there, and then like a sliver of Ashkenazi Jew, and then my dad's side was white. So there you go. Yeah, the scarf does decorate the mess. Yeah. Does Netlify do mostly static sites? I'd say static first sites, but not necessarily all static sites. Netlify has the most wholesome hiring process. I don't even work there. Thank you, Will. Unpacking is going okay. Again, we don't have furniture, so like instead of bookshelves, I just have piles of books. Eventually, we'll be able to use it. What brought me to Chicago? I'm originally from here. It's good to be back. Yes, the Mexican vanilla me. Exactly. I share that everywhere when people ask me what I am. I get asked if I'm Turkish very regularly. And I don't know if it's like I got like a Roman nose going or something. I don't know what it is. I get asked all the time if I'm Turkish. Like, even we had like a construction cleaner come through, and my husband's Korean, and she had only talked with him, and when she saw me, she kind of looked at us. She's like, "Oh, you're together. Okay." And then she was looking at me. She's like, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Here." And she said, "But where are you from?" And I was like, "I'm literally from Chicago." And she was just like, "Your ancestors." And I was like, "My mom's side is Spanish." She said, "Okay." As if that was allowed. And I just kind of rolled with it. Let's see. Do you think it's helpful for the team to give questions ahead of time? Yeah, honestly, I think it's great because then people can prepare how they want to. It's really nice. Yeah, I know. She was pressing on that question in a way where I was just like, "What you doing?" But I just let it slide because she was just doing the construction clean with like her crew, with the contractors and stuff. But yeah, I was kind of just like, I truly am from here, blocks away, so. Hey, Lindsay. I'm using the mug you made me. Hey, Grayson. Hey, Cassidy, what do you think about Next.js now being compiled with SWC? It's not officially being done with that. That's behind that's behind a feature flag. I think it's very exciting. That'll be cool, but hopefully it doesn't have any breaking changes for library authors. Finishing up lunch and getting ready for my next meeting. Thanks for all the funny videos. Thank you for watching them. I'm Turkish, and I must say that no Turkish look alike. We are extremely mixed without knowing. Yeah, that's the impression I'm getting. But straight up, like, people will start speaking to me in Turkish before I'm just like, please, I am not from there, and I don't know what the deal is. What do you/Netlify think about React Server Components? Our CEO actually made a demo on Netlify using React Server Components. I am mildly worried about them introducing complexity into React that's unnecessary, but I'm excited about some of the concurrent features that we'll be able to enable to not have to deal with like handling our own loading states and stuff. Whoa, how's the M1? Do I play video games? Yes. I play Fortnite. I really like Fortnite. Various games. Golf with your friends has been a really fun one to play on Discord with everybody. And then, which by the way, if you are a Twitch sub or if you're on Patreon, you can join our Discord group. It's very active and full of trolls who are lovely most of the time. But anyway, what else do I play? Breath of the Wild, Stardew Valley. I like chill games typically, unless I'm shooting people in Fortnite. Have I ever tried making a game? I genuinely want to. I have not made time for it, and I'm trying to figure out how I can, like, move some projects aside so I can actually dedicate time to it, but there's just not enough time in the day. Plus, I'm moving, so it's a thing. Is that a skateboard in the back? It definitely isn't. I think you're referring to my Portuguese scarf that's hiding all of my moving crap. Have I bought my first split keyboard? That's a split keyboard right here. That's an Iris. Why did the entirety of internet frontend and backend become JavaScript? It didn't, but it's probably feels that way because people like JavaScript and accessibility. I'm digging this tune. Breath of the Wild 2, yes, I was just reading an article about that today, actually. Lindsay, you know you played Fortnite and you were really good at it. How do you think about implementing feature requests versus keeping a service focused and simpler from an experience perspective? I think that comes down to being discerning. Like, for example, I have my to-do app, my to-do meter app. Actually, can I press a button? Look at that! My to-do app right there. That's it. That's one where, like, it's open source and people make feature requests all the time. I implement some of them. Some of them I am not interested in making, and I don't think it will add anything to my usage of it, but it's open source, so if people want it, they can build it. And that's kind of my idea about that. I'm very bad at using split keyboards. I've learned with that one, like, it has to be on a day where I don't have to get a lot done because my speed is very, very low on that. Says be discerning instead of it depends. That's right. What's the part of front-end development that bogs you down the most? Probably just initial scaffolding, honestly. I feel like I always have to use my own template and stuff, and like so much of development is doing something that already exists, and things like Yeoman, like where you could do Yo and then some template. I wish that were still as popular and there was more of that, because I want to be able to be just like, okay, I want to build a Next.js site that pulls in Stripe and that has authentication using like this provider, and being able to just have it done. That initial scaffolding takes so much time, and you often have to rely on templates that other people make, or just, again, reinventing the wheel. That's probably the part that bogs me down the most. Who are your favorite content creators? There's so many. It's hard for me to say all at once. On Twitch, Ben, who's in the chat, Ben Codezen, and then Jason Langsdorff. I watch them the most. They are also my teammates, and so, yeah, but I do watch them the most. On Twitter, I really like Chloe Condon. She's fun, and she also likes Mamma Mia, and that's pretty much the extent of what we DM about. It's mostly like us being annoyed with dudes, and then Mamma Mia, and it's an excellent friendship. There's so many people where they're like kind of content creators, but that's not their title, and so it feels like you're diminishing all of them as a person. Like I could say Sarah Drasner. She's great. She makes such great content, but she's also like a software engineer who builds demos and stuff. Like I wouldn't categorize her as that. And so it's hard for me to answer that question. How important is GPA fresh out of college? It's okay. Nobody cares about your GPA. Like, certain companies might, like certain big companies might, but like, don't worry about it. Believe me, I was one who freaked out about my GPA. It is a big deal for me to say this now. They don't care much. Let's see. Typing fast is the fastest way to generate bugs, and you go days with 1 word per minute. I spent the entire day just setting up a new project yesterday. Yeah, it's painful. So painful. These are not new headphones. I just unpacked them. I think I wore them last week. It's been kind of fun because I've been wearing open back headphones for so long. And these are closed back ones, and it's different, but it makes music sound different, which is cool. I would also call out Trost Codes. Yeah, Alex, he's great. Alex sometimes comes up in the chat here. Funny story about his Friend and Horse newsletter. He was making some joke about horses and how he wishes that the .dog and .cat domain names existed, like the TLDs. And I responded back, and I was just like, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but they do exist. And you just told everyone on your newsletter that they don't, but they definitely do. And he was like, are you kidding me? The only reason why I named this newsletter Front End Horse is because I couldn't find those domain names. Are they new? And I was like, they're not. And I just showed him like the history of those TLDs, and he was like, are you kidding me? And anyway, that is the origin story of Front End Horse being named that way. Oops. But yeah, he's great. He has a lot of cool articles. Have I ever written a book? I have not. I've written a lot of posts. I've considered writing a book, but like the ROI isn't really there. Like the return on my investment, not so much like making money, which obviously that would be a nice factor of it, but I don't know if it would be useful for people or as useful as just a series of blog posts about given subjects. But I don't know. I've considered it. If I were to do one, I would want it to be like a ridiculous book of some kind, but someday. Which UI component library do you use for React often? Bhomes Dev said it. I highly recommend Reach UI because they're really, really great for accessibility. I worked on that team actually who was working on Reach UI, and the work they put into making every single use case covered for accessibility reasons was really impressive, and so highly recommend that one. You haven't tuned in for a while. That's okay, Sweet Tom. It's good to see you. Do you invest in startups? Yes, actually. Not with my own money, but with other people's money. So this is going into a whole topic. So here we go. Startups, investing. For a long time, I thought that investors were rich people, and that's it. Turns out you don't have to be rich to invest in startups. And so there are different kinds of investors. First of all, there are the rich people who actually do. There's investment firms and like VC firms where what they do is like they have rich people and organizations give them money to invest in startups. There's also VCs and angel investors that basically do that, where they get money from, they raise a fund and invest, and then there's scouts. I'm the scout, so I'm going to do me last and explain all of this. So rich people, they invest, they get a percentage, yada, yada, yada. The firms, they, again, invest other people's money, and it feels like a brokerage of some kind. For VCs and angel investors that have their own funds where they raise it like that, the way that works is, let's just say I'm raising a $5 million fund. I would say, okay, I'm raising a $5 million fund and I have a 5% management fee. And so what's 5% of 5 million? 250,000? That was very quick back of the napkin math in my brain. So let me know if I'm wrong, but just say that. That 5% of the 5 million is your salary. So when you see VCs, angel investors and stuff who raise these funds and just invest money on behalf of other companies and people, you might wonder, how are they making money if all they do is spend other people's money? It's the management fee. And so they get 5% of that amount for themselves, and then the rest of it goes towards goes towards the companies that they invest in. And then if a company exits, great, then they make all that money and people are happy, yada, yada, yada. Scouting investing is very, very similar, only it's basically like, it's like an unpaid internship kind of, but like future paid internship, where I have been given a certain amount of money, time, whatever, where I say, hey, I found this startup and I think it's good. And then the VC firms and angel firms say, that looks great. We'll invest in them. And because I did the scouting, I found the startup and vetted it and stuff myself, then someday if it exits, let's just say this company exits for $10 million or whatever, I get 20% of that exit profit, and then the firm gets 80% of it. And so it ends up being a pretty good deal for like upfront work where it might not lead to anything for like solid 5 to 10 years, but it's something. Here's an investment of 100 channel points. Yes, that's how it works. What do I use to vet a startup you find? That I asked so many questions about that to so many people who I knew invested, and the summary is like nobody really has a formula. It's really the answer I basically have gotten is that investment is more of an art than a science. And so you get to know the founders, you see the technical team, you might be interested in the technology or the thing that you're building. And if you got a good gut feeling, you do it. And what's interesting about it, like when I first took on this scouting thing, I only started doing it in the past like 6 months. So I'm still kind of fresh on this. But I was just like, so what if I just don't do well? And they're just like, let's just say you invest in 10 companies. If 3 of them exit, we've made more money than we could need. And so don't worry about it. And so you just gotta do like a third of the companies or so well. Yeah. That's how it is. Yeah, it's nice winging things. The way I got into it was truly just asking. Like, literally, a friend of mine was talking to me about it. I was like, I think I could do that. And she was like, if you tweet or just DM some investors and ask if they do scouting or have scouts, they'll probably bring you on. That's what I did. I DM'd 2, and now one of them I do like official scouting for them, and then one of them I'm like a DevRel in residence where I get like a small cut for helping talk to startups about DevRel things. It truly was that simple. It was DMing. A friend of mine, she actually is a scout for Sequoia, like one of the really big firms. She just tweeted and said, some friends of mine said I'd be a good scout and I'd like to try it. If there's any firms out there who need a good scout, hit me up. And thus she's a scout. It's amazing what happens when you just ask. Honestly, there's a pretty big range of scouting programs. So I think Sequoia actually started it. But like Sequoia and Kleiner Perkins, for example, are really, really big investing firms. And they have a whole vetting process for their scouts. Like you apply, you're a part of a cohort for a certain amount of time. They partner you up with an actual investing partner and you work with them on proposals for investing. It's a whole thing. And then there's much smaller investing firms where it's truly just they trust you. And like, for example, this week, the firm that I'm working with, Shrug Capital, they were just like, hey, will you get on some calls with us in the next couple weeks? Because we don't really understand what this startup does. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so it varies. Agamore, founders or product? Like, as to what to invest in? I think more often people invest in founders than the actual product itself. Like, the product matters. But if the founders seem like they've got good stuff, they're determined. When you're looking at startups, one thing I have learned is that investors love seeing founding teams that have worked together before or know each other really well. if they do, that means like if something goes wrong and stuff, the founders aren't just going to be like, I hate you, and leave the company because of personal reasons. So founders who know each other really well and have been together for a long time working in different spaces, investors love seeing that because that means that they're more likely to stick around longer. Also, technical teams, if you have a technical founder, just investors love seeing that. If you're not technical, like if you have mostly a non-technical team, they'll still go for you, but they love seeing people who don't have to hire a developer because developers are expensive. And so if you can get as far as you can without hiring a developer and just get the product going with the founders and then start hiring, they love to see it. They love to see that. Did you tweak some mic settings? This is a fairly new microphone, but that's about it. Stories like Theranos make me not trust founders at face value. Yeah. Well, and I think I came up with the idea. Surely that's the hard part. Ha 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 ha. I think, yeah, there's a lot of trust that happens with this relationship. It's such a weird one. It's such a weird one because it truly is about who you know. And like, for example, a friend of mine, she has this startup. It's going well. They're doing cool things. I'm not going to name them just in case. But she got a few initial investments and talked to a couple VCs about it. And then the VCs just talked to their friends, and she would get these emails from people saying, hey, do you still have room in your like investment round? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I have like 150K left, but that's kind of a lot for one person. They're just like, I'll take it. Like, she never met with the person. She never did a pitch. It was truly just they trusted what other VCs said, because everybody wants in on that big thing. And if they see a lot of good investors in on it, they want to be a part of that. It's fascinating, this world. Yeah, there's always exceptions to all the rules. I'm sorry, Vibin Cat. Yeah, it doesn't do formatting well. But yeah, anyway, that is how VC stuff works. I will keep answering questions if you have them. Do startups need to have a lawyer on call where they can figure out the whole structure? It helps. And that's actually why a lot of startups go through things like Y Combinator, because if your startup goes through Y Combinator, they have all the docs written for you. And so like if you have contracts that you want to give to investors, or you want a lawyer on call, or you want advice on stuff, something like Y Combinator and incubators and that sort of thing have all those docs for you. So they handle the legal side and help you with that, and you can just focus on your actual product. But otherwise, yeah, typically you'll get a startup lawyer of some kind. Do startups need to be US based? Does it work with international startups? Yeah, it works with any base. Typically, there are some legal things. And so like, for example, one of the startups that I recently have been talking with, haven't done the investment quite yet, but been talking with them a bunch. They are technically based in Berlin, but they have a US entity like in Delaware, so that way they can have US based investors. And that's kind of how they got around with that. There's a good number of law firms that do pro bono work up to like 50K under the assumption they'll be your firm as you grow. Oh, interesting. What do you think are interesting startups to keep an eye out? So, and I see your next question. Can you talk about companies you've invested in? Yes. So I typically focus on developer tools in general. I've been meaning to make like a website that actually shows the companies that I've been working with so far. But the main ones, the first one that I ever did was Supabase. And so like the database company, Supabase.io. And so this was the first one that I ever did an investment in. They're an open source Firebase alternative. They're really, really cool. I talked with them and I liked that their team was very global, all over the world, and they cared a lot about the same things that I cared about. So anyway, I was excited about that one and did that one. Let's see, another one is Calendso, which is an open source Calendly alternative. And so you can either do self-hosted or hosted by them. And they are doing a lot of things that I can't talk about, but it will extend beyond what they're currently offering, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I like them a lot, obviously. Another one is Stitch. And Stitch is user infrastructure. The founders behind this, first of all, love seeing a woman CTO. I admit that helped my decision because it's rare for you to see that. But also the product in general. The founders worked together at Plaid before, which I had used Plaid when I was working at Venmo back in the day. And they basically build passwordless authentication systems and a bunch of other authentication and user infrastructure platforms and APIs. And so I thought they were very cool and went for that one. Another one is Knock. Knock is for sending product notifications. It's kind of like... It's basically a way for your developers to integrate product notifications into the application, but there's also like a CMS, quote unquote, for product teams to write the notifications. They're pretty cool. I technically didn't invest in that one, but I was like a part of it because I helped doing the technical vetting and stuff. That was where I was working with that other firm that I told you about. And then the other one is, I think this is the last one. I actually need to write it down at Obsidian. I'm just gonna do that really quick. The last one is UserList. And UserList does email marketing automation. It reminded me of SendGrid, but different. Like kind of where SendGrid and where MailChimp don't do... where it's like a kind of a Venn diagram almost. Thank you so much, Big Jim. But anyway, so these are the companies that I've been working with and investing in and being a part of. So yeah, it's been a really, really interesting learning experience. I have learned so much about founders and how the startup process works and stuff. The email marketing startup is UserList, userlist.com. You can look at it in the chat there-ish. It's cool. It's like SaaS email marketing. There's one that I've been talking to that I haven't invested in, but I'm very intrigued by. And so let me show that really quick. It's Motif Land, or just Motif. It's a really interesting idea, and I'm kind of trying to figure out how I feel about it because I really like the founders. It's like Notion almost, in that you write content and it's like Markdown, but it's all MDX driven. And so it is really good at lowering the barrier to entry for just quickly making websites that are very content driven and Markdown driven. And yeah, it seems cool. I haven't done much with them, but I've been meeting with them a bunch lately. This isn't secret. Yeah, I've been talking with them. It's cool. Yeah, it is. It's kind of similar to Obsidian, except it's like more webby. It doesn't have a graph or anything. It's really for publishing. Oh, and Hannah Kefu, it's Polywork I've been advising. And so advisory work is also something that's somewhat new to me. But advising startups is what I've been doing. I advise a couple startups where for them, I truly just meet with the founders regularly and give them advice about the product. And that is in exchange for equity, and that's how that works. And it's been interesting. I know there's some people who advise startups for a living, and I don't know how that works yet. I have so many questions, but there's not a lot of people I can ask those questions to who would have time to answer those questions, and so I'm just kind of rolling with it. But yeah, with the advising of startups, it's truly me giving advice, answering questions, and then when they say we're not sure what to do with this part of the product, I tell them and go for it. And so a lot of stuff with Polywork, for example, like how you contact people, was a direct result of me helping them guide that. I'm confused between UI design, cinematography, and programming. All very different things. Broification, good luck. Those sound really cool. But yeah, you might have to decide, at least have a focus and then have the other two be like a fun thing you do in addition. How do you deal with and identify personal conflicts with your day job? Luckily, I have a company that is pretty good about this. Like Netlify doesn't mind that I have various things going. In fact, they like it because if people see that Netlify is cool with me advising startups, being involved with the startup community, it looks good for them. Plus, a lot of the companies that I talk to and stuff end up using some Netlify products because I'm able to help them with that. That being said, it does mean I'm very busy because I don't want to just neglect my day job work because of side stuff work, and so it does mean I have to keep a very strict calendar to get stuff done. You should start a startup that advises startups and then get an advisor to help you understand how to advise startups. Yes. That sounds really chaotic. I have been thinking, were I to start something, I think it could be really interesting to do something where it's not necessarily just being startup advisors as a service, but educating people on how to do DevRel correctly and just developer relations. Because a lot of companies, they're just like, we need to hire influencers, and that's how DevRel works, when it isn't. But developing a curriculum for that would have to be very tailored. But I feel like it could be pretty interesting to do someday. Do you use Obsidian to organize your blog posts? Yes, I write all of my blog posts in Obsidian. I can show you, in fact. 1 second, let me find all of them. But the thing is, I don't have like a good template for them. I just kind of roll with it. And I haven't even finished some of my blog posts, so I'll just show you. Yeah, DevRel consultancy. I could see it happening, but I wouldn't want to be doing the DevRel for them. I'd be wanting to teach them how to do it. But anyway, so like for example, I started a blog post for this. I have hashtag blog. All of my blog posts that I've written are under hashtag blog, and I start writing it, and then I usually write myself a little outline and stuff. I haven't finished this blog post. The Devil Kid, thank you so much for the resub. This is like my introduction to Astro Post, where once again, I have the title and a 1-sentence pitch. Hashtag blog, go. Same with this one. It's pretty much always the same thing, where I do the title, hashtag blog, typically do a 1-sentence pitch to keep myself organized, and then I write them in there. I'm not particularly organized about it, I just have it in there. Will this be uploaded on YouTube? Yeah, I can upload it to YouTube. Sure. Let's see. Do you have any recommended material for new DevRel folks? There is a great newsletter called DevRel Weekly that I think is a wealth of information. Also, Brandon West, I know he was writing a book on doing DevRel. Brandon West book. Let me pull that up. Turns out there's a lot of Brandon Wests in the world. 1 second. I know that he was working on the book, but it's been like years, and so I don't actually remember what it was called. Okay. I know the book. Oh, the book happened. Okay, cool. I'm sharing it. This one. Devra Weekly. No, it wasn't from Auth0. It's from... Oh, what's her name? I think her name's Mary. I have to check. I'll look that up too and share a link. Mary Grace, that's her name. Mary Thengval. Mary Grace Thengval. Okay, there you go. Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, Corey Quinn built a business around telling people how their money is being spent so anything's possible. Corey Quinn has been so great for giving advice too. I've asked him so many questions this year alone, and it has genuinely helped me, like with my own newsletter and with a lot of the content I put out there. What theme am I using? It's one that I made. I shared it earlier. cast.run/igneous. I've decided to ditch Evernote. Yes. I know a lot of people have converted their Evernote notes to Obsidian. Nakaflaka3, thank you so much for the resub. The company I joined has a front-end using Create React app that takes 5 minutes to build. Whew. Can Snowpack help? Yes, yeah, Snowpack and Vite might be helpful for you too, Luke94. Yeah, Vite might help, and also just trying to break up the site into like microsites might be helpful too. Something like Astro would really help you, I think. But that also might be a little bit too big of a leap too. Slashdata's book was pretty good too. Cool. I will open that one up and check it out. I think a lot of companies really just they focus way too much on the marketing side of developer relations and not community building and actually building relationships with developers and hearing their developers. I think that's the biggest issue. Twitch Prime Bot, what is your deal? I'm going to delete that message. Sorry about that. My team has moved from Create React app to Next.js and we haven't looked back. Yeah, no, there's a lot of, it makes sense. I admit I am not a, I am very into Next.js, don't get me wrong. You saw how many blog posts that I just showed where it was pretty much all Next.js content. I like it a lot. I think there's a few aspects of it where I don't know if I would want to completely switch a production application over. But I think it's great, and it covers most use cases that most people would want. I made a feature request in Next.js that would basically change my mind on this, and it's how state management is shared across the application. And let me find it, and you can upvote it if you want. Let me get it. This proposal. And I'll share it in the chat. It's making like a wrapper component for groups of routes and stuff, because the way like the context API and state sharing is it's possible to share like some state across like 2 routes, but it's not like ergonomic as a developer experience compared to the rest of Next.js. And so that is one of my biggest gripes. I love the page-based routing. I think it's nice, but it is limited compared to like React Router and Create React app. I have really loved playing with React and Astro and with React and Vite, and I would love to make some stuff with that to make a really well scaling site with it, but in due time. I've been working with Snowpack and Vite a lot. From my experience, Vite's a bit friendlier on the documentation side. Yeah, I agree. felt a little down when in an interview I could not answer a simple theory question about JavaScript. Ah, that's a bummer. I'm sorry to hear that. That's never a good feeling. But I'm sure it was just in the moment. Just because you can't answer a specific question doesn't mean you're any less of a developer. We have all had those interviews that just really didn't go well. And it's all good practice, so don't get too down. If you were to start a new silly side project today, would you start with Vite or Astro? It depends on the site I'd be using. If I were to build a site that like has multiple pages, scales, yada yada yada, probably Astro. But if I were doing like a web app, probably Vite. I would love to combine them, but I know that would be weird. But I want to play with that concept a little more. Slinkity combines Vite and Eleventy too. Wait a minute. That would be neat. I might have to do some more Slinkity stuff. I know you said it's early, but I liked what I saw on your site for it, and so I might have to try a little bit more. Is it Vite or Vite? It's Vite because it's French. I thought it was Vite, but I was wrong. It's Vite. I just played with Nuxt recently. Nuxt is a 5-star experience. Man, they are doing good work. Can you elaborate on that RFC for Next.js? Oh, for the wrapper component thing? Yeah, basically having a component that wraps all of the components in a given set of routes. Because right now, the only component that does that is _app.js. And so it's basically all or nothing. Either all of your pages share state or none of your pages share state. And if you want to do that context around like 3 of your routes out of 10, you can kind of work around the framework to do that, but it's not that intuitive. You just applied for a job at Netlify. Ooh, good luck. Which team? Creeth, thank you so much for the sub. Wait, Slinkity is an actual thing? Yeah, no, it's an actual thing. Ben is working on it. How do you keep up with knowing when new frameworks or libraries pop up? I subscribe to so many newsletters. I probably read like 2 newsletters a day at the very least. And it's just all tech stuff. And granted, it's because I write my own newsletter and because I write the Stack Overflow newsletter, and people submit content and articles and things to me often because they want to be in those newsletters. And so between the newsletters that I read and the newsletters that I write, that is how I keep up to date. It can be overwhelming sometimes, and there are definitely times where I'm like, I'm done with this industry, but you keep pulling me back. Probably helps that it's in your job description to know what's happening in the JavaScript world. Yeah. Does it matter actually knowing so many new things that could disappear quite fast? Depends on you. For me, I like knowing the different things because then I could use it for side projects or a demo project and stuff. But if you're building, for example, on a product team and it's using React, it's using Redux for state management, it's using certain libraries, you don't need to know all the new hotness because your job doesn't require it. There you go. But I like being in touch with it because you never know what could be the new big thing that takes off. Like when I first started using React, it was 2014 and React came out in 2013. So React was like this new baby that like some people were talking about it. Facebook was using it, which was like notable. And I was just like, oh, we're starting a new project at work. Let's use React. And so it was one of those new, like, who knows if it'll be big, but it seems big. 7 years later, it's one of the biggest frameworks out there. So you never know what could be the thing that catches on. And it's nice to keep a pulse on things sometimes. The longer I'm in development, the more I get tired of seeing new frameworks pop up. Fair. I get it. I think knowing the pros and cons of using it would help make informed decisions. True. Yeah. Well, and for example, like, I really like Astro so far. I think Astro is very cool. It is still very early. And like demos that I made, I actually have it on my to-do list app over here to update my Astro project, because demos that I've made like within the past few weeks are already out of date because it's so early and they're adding so many updates. So there's, yeah, plenty of pros and cons that are good to know and be aware of. The origin of the name. I wanted to build something with Slinkies, and Slinkity made me laugh. I like that. Naming things is hard, so I think Slinkity is a great name. I actually have a Slinky somewhere that it used to be one of my favorite little desk toys. I love having desk toys just for meetings and stuff. I have restless hands that want to hold on to something, but I don't have any of my desk toys yet, and so I've just been playing with this, which is, it's just a thing that holds up lights and stuff, like it's a little rig. And truly, I've just been like opening and closing this clamp every single day, and this has been my desk toy. This is what I do in meetings. It's constantly this, and then like opening this up and moving this around, and then tightening it again. I miss my Slinky and my spinners. But what can you do until they're unpacked? No, I shouldn't do this. I'm gonna do it anyway. This is a bad choice. It keeps running into my glasses. No! Oh, it won't hold on. This is a really bad idea. Nope, nope. Doesn't grip. It's a shame. Anyway. If someone walked in, Joe would be just like, why are you on this stream? There you go. This may not look like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. Yeah. Anyway. I miss my fidget spinners. I have a cube thing that I can open up flat and get back into the cube. Those things are awesome. I'm being discerning. Wait, Ed, where is your badge? I don't know. What the heck? At least you got your little first badge. This is why you're a sub? Thank you. Thank you very much. This grippiness, but honestly, I think the grip works. I think my nose is just oily, which, cute! I think maybe I'll just do it on my hand. There you go. That's easy. Voila, look at that. I could hang a light bulb from this, or a speaker or something. Do I listen to podcasts? I admit not a ton, because I don't have a commute. Like, the only time, the only time I ever really, like, listen to things is on long car rides, and I don't do a lot of long car rides. And so I typically just, like, listen to audiobooks if I'm driving somewhere, like whenever we're going to buy furniture or something, and otherwise I read. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. Hey, I saw you design the Scrabble keycap set. Any chance you're gonna rerun it? I want to. So bad. You have no idea. I've been trying to get the Scrabble keycap rerun to happen for the past 3 years. It's not up to me. But here's the deal, okay? It's not secret, but it's a thing. I have to work with Hasbro to get the license. I did a bunch of cold calling in the past like 2 months, and because I was getting nowhere with Drop, who originally sold the keycap set, because they were just like, oh, well, our person who'd worked with Hasbro before left, and the person at Drop left and the person at Hasbro left that we both used to work with. So I eventually found the right person to talk to at Hasbro, But then when I made the connection with Drop, they were just like, oh, but we're doing our Marvel collaboration. And so we don't know if we have time for another licensed thing. And I was like, eh. And then another keycap company reached out to me literally that week and said, hey, we've been talking with Hasbro and we wanted to make a Scrabble keycap set. And then we realized you made a Scrabble keycap set. Can we legally work with you on this? And it turns out, because the Scrabble keycap set came out 4 years ago-ish, I'm not obligated to work with Drop anymore. So they're great. I'm happy I worked with them. Astrala Keys is still for sale on Drop. They're lovely. But specifically with Scrabble, I'm talking with this other company now. It won't be XDA again, because if you'll recall, it was XDA keycaps, which they're not easily accessible right now. Otherwise, I'd show you. They're like a very wide, flat keycap. But I think we're going to try doing it in DSA, which is similar. It's a similar low-profile flat cap, or in all SAR3 keycaps. I'm leaning towards just the DSA keycaps, though, because I like that shape. And so we're in talks. Plus, there may or may not be another board game involved as well, and that I cannot talk about, but it would be cool. So anyway, I'm talking with this other company. We still have some things to sign in order to make everything happen, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but that is the story of the current state of Scrabble keycaps. And I am hoping beyond hope that we can get something going this year, but we'll see. The end. Oh, everybody's talking about books. I'm the same with reading books. I like to read, but the only time I read is when I have a lot of bus and train commutes. I feel that. I used to read a lot more on my own commutes as well. I have books that I genuinely really want to read, though, too. I have to kind of force myself to be like, just rest and read a book. But I always feel like I'm behind on things, especially because I have so much to unpack in this house and stuff, too. Calling it Catan keycaps. Wouldn't that be cool? Ugh. Someday. Every day you roll a dice, I can't use 1/12 with a keyboard. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts when I was working in a microbiology lab. Yeah, no, if I'm doing something where I don't have to focus on what I'm writing, I can listen to podcasts, and that's when I do. But if I'm writing a blog post or writing code, I can't really focus enough on the podcast, or I can't focus enough on the task at hand. And so it needs to be when I'm like editing a photo or something, and that is rare unless I'm photoshopping my coworkers, which is very important, of course. Yeah, but anyway, today is one of those days where I'm just trying to catch up with things. It's been a very busy week of lots of meetings, and yesterday and today I finally got some things done that I'm very excited about. And actually, I'm gonna give y'all a very, very, very quiet sneak preview, just for a brief moment, of a thing that I am working on that is finally coming together that I'm very excited about. So just 1 second, let me get it in a state where it's like not too obvious. I'm going to show it very, very briefly. Are you ready for this? This is the thing that I've been working on. Okay, that's it. It's gone. But I'm very, very excited about it. It is something that I still have to edit. It is something that I still have to finish writing copy for. Oh no, people missed it. Okay, I'll make it come back for just a second. Oh my gosh, what is that? Oh! Okay. So anyway, I'm very, very excited for it. Does it come with a soldering iron kit? I want it to. So it's very early stages, but it's all about learning how to make mechanical keyboards, and we're doing like a multi-phase thing. So I'm starting it with like an email course where it just tells you what you need to know. And then beyond that, I want to make it like a very, very interactive experience, because with a lot of online classes, you can watch a lot of videos, but you don't actually get to do anything with the information unless it's a coding class. And so with this, I want to figure out how I can make like a workbook where people can play around with stuff, and then a potential kit where people can build something. But anyway, there's no pre-order or anything yet because it's still very early, but I'm very, very excited that it's coming together. I literally started talking about this project and getting it working with certain people in April. And so the fact that it's finally starting to come together, it's very, very exciting. But yeah, I'll tell y'all more as I know more and as it gets closer to launch. But until then, that's been like my main... Between my newsletter, Stack Overflow newsletter, and that project, those have been kind of like my main side projects. And then I'm updating a website for another side project that I actually need to do that today. Oops. Just trying to get through emails and stuff. It's been one of those weeks where, like, last week I was technically on PTO and I was just working on catching up with certain projects all week. And now it's still a catch-up week, but now I'm catching up on all the work that I missed, in addition to trying to catch up with all of the projects. How would the pricing be? I'm figuring that out. I would like to make it as free as possible. And so but we're not sure how the structure will go just yet. What I would like to do is make it where like the email part of the course is free, and then there will be like some kind of video part. And what I'd love to do is have some custom kits where people can build keyboards, and then like we have an actual workshop that you can pay for, and it comes with a kit, and we can build keyboards together. I would love that, but baby steps, because it's still early enough. How would you get all this stuff done with a 4-day work week? 4-day work weeks are great because then I can get all of my Netlify work done in a 4-day work week, or day job stuff done in a 4-day work week, and then have more time for my personal stuff on Fridays, or whatever the 5th day is. Where do I invest? You'll have to talk to my VC scouts about that. Anyway, soon, TM. I want to start building hype, which that's what this is, but it's just early enough where it's a little too early to build up on that hype. But yes, I do think that a 4-day work week is the future. And something that we've been experimenting with at Netlify is the first Friday of every month is a no work day, and it's such a game changer for so many people. And so we're like team by team, some teams are doing like no work on Fridays, or at least like you're kind of on call if people want to reach out to you to ask you something, but beyond that, you can kind of do whatever you need to. And it's been really, really nice to have those kinds of days where I can just focus on chores and getting things done. But yeah, soon, TM, soon. How do you share your Obsidian notes between devices? Dropbox. I've been meaning to do Obsidian Sync, but I just haven't yet because Dropbox works for me just fine. And I have Obsidian on my phone, and Dropbox doesn't work with that. But I have another note editor that I've been using before that pulls from Dropbox, and so that's just how it works for me now. But what's been particularly fun is like, okay, I'm not trying to... oh no, what did I just do? Hang on 1 second, I just messed up my notes. Oh no, what did I just do? One second. I need to fix one of my templates. It's broken, but that's fine. Hopefully I didn't break too much. It's okay. I'll live. Okay, anyway, now that it works, stuff happens. Peloton's been doing that too. We show up for retro and head out on Fridays. That is awesome. I have heard that Git repos work really well. My company said no to 1 day off every 2 weeks in exchange for extra hours for the 9 days I work. Have you worked out with how to sync with Dropbox to iOS? I don't use, so I use a different app. The app that I use is called OneWriter. OneWriter? Come on. There you go. Oh my gosh, I have so many text messages I need to read. But anyway, with that one, it hooks up to Dropbox, and so that's just what I've been using. And so one thing that I do, and again, I'm not trying to evangelize to anyone here. I go to church on Sundays. And so I'll take notes during the service and just type them on my phone. And what's very fun is when I do sync it to my Dropbox on my computer, I can, or to my Obsidian on my computer, I can be just like, okay, this was the church series. And so when I click on this, I could see all of the other messages that were in that church series. And I can be like, oh, wait, this referenced the book of Philippians. Let's look at all of the notes that reference the book of Philippians and stuff like that, or whatever. Anyway, it's been very cool seeing this part of my notes grow in different ways. And it's nice to be able to take notes on my phone and then just have it work automatically with all the linking and stuff on my computer. Choich, yeah, that note I have not formatted. But yeah, it is a really fun way to like see the connections between different messages and stuff, and I could see it being really useful for students, because if you were a student and you, for example, were listening to a bunch of different lectures, you could like have different links for professor names or books or certain concepts and stuff, and then imagine like your links starting to come together across courses that you're taking. It's really, really powerful, and so it's a very cool way to take notes on given subjects, and I highly recommend it. Even just with my own blog posts, my blog posts start to link together too, and being able to like quote myself and be able to pull blocks of text that way has been pretty cool. Because if I were to pull up my grid here, for example, or my graph, here's a bunch of different blog posts that I wrote, and I could be just like, okay, this blog post references this tag. Here's all of these blog posts. These are blog posts that are specifically around Netlify. And then there's all of these blog posts that reference Next.js, and I'm working on some links between all of those. And so they start to become very intertwined. And like I told you, with my church notes being connected like this, the lines, it's very cool to see everything being pulled together like that. You have links to entire other notes within notes, right? Yes. Yeah, it's basically a big graph to each other. It's very, very fun. But yeah, I love Obsidian for that, because I don't have to do any work with regards to organizing it. It just kind of happens. But yeah, it's really nice being able to reference things to each other. Well, and like, again, this is not trying to evangelize, but if someone were to ask me a certain question about a given topic in the Bible, or how they're struggling with something, like what one of my church friends, I can refer to a church note about a given topic, and I can look at the other notes that also reference that topic and be just like, and you know what else? You should look at this book too. And it just, it's nice. David Sparks loves Obsidian too. Yeah, again, like if I wish I had this in college, because there's so many notes I could have taken in lectures that would have been able to reference each other. It would have been great. Yeah, no, what was interesting, I was reading this tweet yesterday. I think someone shared it in Discord. a lot of youths today and truly like younger people today don't use folders and don't really understand the concept of folders because of the technologies today that don't need it. And so what's cool about Obsidian is you don't need folders unless you want to. And I do have some, like I have a folder for my templates, for images, for people specifically. But when you see something like this, like the graph view and stuff, and how a lot of applications and methods of organization are going in that way, and because search has gotten so powerful, you don't necessarily need folders to organize yourselves. You can just search for the title or the topic or something. It's kind of like my bookmarks. I use Raindrop for bookmarks, and I'm able to tag all of my bookmarks, and plus it does not just title search, but also full text search of the pages that I've saved. And so there have been times where I'm just like, I know I had an article about startup equity or something like that, and I can just search the word equity and it gives me all of the articles that I have saved, and they're not even all in the same category or something. It's just a really powerful search. And so having a powerful search and having a good mindset towards searching, I think, removes the need for folders, and that is why youths today don't need them as much. It would get even weirder if you relied on ML to cluster your information rather than manually tagging. Yeah. Can you imagine like GitHub Copilot for your own notes? Ah. Have I tried Notion? Yes. Notion I like for project planning and stuff. Like I planned my Kickstarter that I did last year all in Notion. But yeah, for writing and everything, I prefer Obsidian, mostly because of the local first nature of it. I like being able to own it and having it all on one computer. And Notion can be dang slow if you have a slow internet connection. Imagine being a large open source project without folders. Chaos. Yeah, Benny Kidman. Yeah, for studying things, absolutely. Once again, I wish I had this when I was a student. I'm thinking about applying for a front-end position at Netlify. Do you have any tips or advice? I would say really emphasize the experience you have with large systems and scaling and trying out new technologies. Because I know that our team, because the site is getting bigger than ever before, there's all kinds of different technologies under the hood and different teams use different technologies. Being flexible and being able to show that you don't mind a little chaos as you set up projects, I think that could go a long way. Having literally no local storage options in Notion is the one thing I hate about it. Same. That's again, it doesn't work for me. It's great for sharing. Like, I've done some projects with other people where it's all in Notion, and doing it there is really, really nice. But for my own stuff where it's not going to be going to anybody except for me, it's not worth it for me. Do I pay for the sync feature in Obsidian? I use Dropbox. Large open source project, but it's just one file. Chaos. Are there any good resources to learn about scaling in large systems? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are. Honestly, I like on the Jamstack side of things, because I work at Netlify, Jamstack.org has quite a few good bits of information on there in terms of just building performance and web apps built for that and decoupling all of your services and stuff. And there's also an O'Reilly book for it and tons of talks about it. But if you want to learn about like load balancing and all that jazz, I am not the person to ask about that information. I left that world behind on purpose. Imagine something like GitHub Copilot for writing where the ML content and leverages are all great works. Yeah. Well, I think it could be cool, like having it in my notes where, for example, it understands my tone of voice, and so I can start writing things and it just knows generally where I'm going with it. I think that could be sweet someday. What font does this use? This is Mona Lisa. monolisa.dev is the URL for it. I got Monolisa when I was teaching full-time, and the reason why I like it so much is it's a very wide font. And so when you're teaching, it's great when people can actually read the code that you're writing. And so Monolisa is a very nice legible font for teaching. I heard of AnyType, which looks like it's supposed to be Notion. Yeah, I'm curious about AnyType. It's a little far off for me, I think. You love my voice. Thank you. I should start a radio show. Why have Webpack bundling when you can bundle by hand? Ah. Yeah, no, teaching with a nice big font is very, very helpful. ASMR stream win. I like the idea of doing some kind of like chill podcast or something with really short episodes, but I gotta like get someone who would help me produce it and stuff because I don't want to deal with editing and all that jazz. Speak of the devil, Alex, how you doing? Thank you so much for the raid. Alex, we were just talking about Friend and Horse earlier and how you are a great content creator. So thank you so much for the raid. Hey. I just checked out your CodePen. When do you use before and after instead of create new elements in a div? Honestly, when it comes to CSS art, I'm just kind of playing around with stuff. My CodePen, for example, one of the most recent ones that I did, oh my gosh, what is going on? I accidentally went to the Code Golf Stack Exchange. But anyway, like the most recent CodePen that I did was for one of the CodePen challenges where it was, what's it called? The no swimming pool rules thing sign. Let me actually show it to you and speak coherently. 1 second. So anyway, I made this CodePen. They had a CodePen challenge. Hey, Alex, welcome. They had a CodePen challenge where it was taking a template that had a pool rules sign, edit it to make it cooler. And so for the pool rules thing, I think it's codepen.io/challenges. This week, I think the weekly challenge is typography of summer, and so it wants you to do tickets. Last week is pool rules, and so what it did was they had a template, and the template was this. And so given this template, edit it, and then I edited it and made this. And so what I wanted to do was to not edit any of the HTML. I was just like, I don't want to touch any of the HTML. I just want to edit the CSS. And so because I didn't want to edit the HTML, I used the before and after tags a bunch. And let me zoom out a little bit so you can see a little bit more. Let me do that. And so in this before and after, because I did it this way, I was able to make the water move and make like the pool ground and stuff like that separate from the rest of the sign. And so anyway, TLDR, I use before and afters a ton when I'm doing CSS art because I like not doing too much in the HTML to make it just kind of cool looking. You can use as many divs and HTML things as you want, and that's probably a smarter move unless you want to add like an icon people can't select or something. And yes, the water moves. The water actually, I'm kind of proud of that. The way the water works is it's truly just a rectangle. Let's see, which one is this? That's not that one. This is the rectangle. So I'll change it to just like one right here. It's actually just a plain blue thing, and oh, you can't see very well. Let me do it this way. Now my face is in the way. Whatever. Anyway, so this is just a plain blue rectangle. But then what I did is I added this keyframes CSS right here. And so in the keyframes CSS, I move it slightly up and down with the bottom. And so I move the bottom -5, -10, 0, -10, -5. So I'm making it go up and down, but then I also have it rotating ever so slightly as it goes up and down. So between 0.5 degrees and -0.5 degrees. If you want to see chaos, I'll change it to 5. Whoa, look at all the waves. But then you could see more that it's just a rectangle. And so actually, yeah. And so you could see it's really just a rectangle moving. But yeah, so it is always a straight line, but it's secret because it's not actually. And so if I were to, I'm going to refresh without saving. So now you can see it really is just a straight line because it's going up and down and it's rotating at the same time, it looks like it's an actual wave. Tricky, tricky. If you'd like to play around with it yourself, here, I'll paste the CodePen right here. Yeah, just through a little bit of movement, it looks less straight. It looks like it's... Yeah, no, no SVGs. Truly, like, this is the HTML that they gave me, and the rest is all just CSS. I wonder if animating the transform origin. Yeah, no, that could work too. I feel like that could get a little chaotic because it's rotating in different places. Yeah, it is like an optical illusion. Well, and that's actually originally the background for the bottom of the pool here. I made it just a plain background. So this is just a funky CSS gradient. And so the background here, it's a linear gradient that is layered, and so I have the horizontal and vertical lines. And so here, let me get rid of this, and you can see that. And so that now you can see it's just horizontal lines when I get rid of that. And actually, let me get rid of the other one. And so now when it's just vertical lines, when I made it plain, like if I were just to make it red, it kind of became a little obvious that it was just a rectangle moving up and down. And so by adding one linear gradient that makes the vertical lines and then another linear gradient that does the horizontal lines, it kind of fixes the illusion a little bit. And I don't know why that isn't refreshing. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta tell it to. But anyway, because it has a grid now the water looks a little bit more liquid, even though it's not. Soon we can use nesting in CSS. Will I stop using SCSS? Honestly, yes. Because the only things that really keep me using SCSS was nesting and variables, and so now CSS has variables. And if I can have nesting, I don't need preprocessors anymore. So anyway, that was this week's last week's CodePen challenge. I want to do this one where it's tickets. The tickets this week would be cool, but actually what's kind of fun is they referenced an old pen I did. This pen right here, I think I made it in like 2016, maybe 2017. This was a long one. Yeah, 2016. For tickets. I made this ages ago. I admit I don't even want to look at the code because it was probably not good. Man, memes. But anyway, it was kind of fun to see that old pen reference that I kind of forgot about. So I haven't made any tickets with it yet, but I want to do another like CSS only thing with this one. If you want to see the CodePen challenges, by the way, I'll post it right there. What about the math though? Oh, and SCSS? I admit I don't use it that much. I probably should just to take advantage of it, but I don't use it that much. Yeah, and also just calc in CSS. That's what I use the most math-wise, and it gets the job done for most of the things that I want to do. Yeah. 1 second. I think I have a meeting that I forgot about, and I want to make sure I'm not late for it. Because that would be bad. And of course my calendar isn't loading. Oh, okay. I have 5 minutes. Yeah, they should just come here. Hey, HR. Yeah, no, it's a meeting with because I'm a manager and director at work, I regularly have like a monthly meeting with HR to talk about just like, how's it going? How are my reports going? Blah, 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 blah. And so that's what this meeting is. It typically isn't me going, but sometimes it is. See you later, Billy the Troll. Oh, actually, I forgot to share, but look at that. I got my, oh, you can't see. Microphone, get out of the way. I got my Tetris lamp working. I found the plug for it. It's very exciting. I also just realized I got my lava lamp working here and it looks really cool, but I didn't set up my camera so you can see it. Bummer. I gotta get that working. What did you say about me? Cassidy has reports the world's gone mad. I know. They trust me with humans. Wild. What about the Portugal scarf? I mentioned this earlier. The Portugal scarf is hiding a lot of my crap. Not well, but like it's truly just a random pile of stuff. Like the thing directly behind it is my college degree. And then behind that is a backpack, and behind that is some boxes. So that was my poor attempt at hiding stuff that I haven't unpacked yet. You have the same Tetris lamp? Nice! Yeah, no, it's definitely like... That power thing is definitely like an old phone cord or something. Because I agree with you. Keeping it under wraps. Ha ha ha! Ah ha ha! Nino Pepper, you're so funny. Ha 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 ha. Random pile of stuff is an accurate description of my canoe bases. Yeah. Ronaldo supporter much? Ugh. Okay, but for real, Messi leaving Barcelona is a bummer. Like, yeah, that's a bummer. I have a Messi jersey and now I'm like, what's the point? I watched Teja build a Jules with Jades. Whew. I really like watching Teja types. If anybody doesn't know who that is, he builds really fancy keyboards on his stream. It's very high quality, it's very impressive, he does amazing work. But, oh man, they just kind of hurt when you understand how much they cost and you're just like, I shouldn't. But it's beautiful. I think it'll do Messi good, this change. Yeah, probably. I actually have to... So I want to figure out how to get it set up, but many moons ago, I'm sure some of you who have been on the stream before may remember this. I built a keyboard on the stream. This was truly like 9 months ago. It's been a while. And unfortunately, the PCB was messed up where all the keys worked except for the enter key. And it's such a bummer. And I ended up looking at it and I have to like resolder something to make it work. And so that keyboard is somewhere in a pile next to me. And so I have to disassemble that keyboard and reassemble it to make everything work. And so I might try to do that on the stream sometime soon. It's such a bummer. Like everything put together and it worked. And the enter key did slightly work at first. Like it was fine. But like there was a diode that was loose. And just in typing, the diode was just loose enough where it like stuff disconnected. So, yeah, of all keys, the enter key. It couldn't have been like the page down key. I never used that one. It is a drop alt board, high profile with GMK Oblivion and Holy Panda switches. And it's actually a good opportunity because I've been wanting to lube the Holy Panda switches, but I haven't lubed switches before, fun fact. I had a friend who did it for me in Seattle, so I've got to do that myself. Some of those terms were made up. Nope, they weren't. Print lock key. What is it good for? Nothing. Yeah, seriously, it could have been any other key. Ah. But anyway, I should start heading off to this meeting with HR so that way, you know, I can stay employed. I'm going to lube my switches. It is time consuming. But anyway, it's been lovely chatting with you all. Thanks so much for hanging out. Maybe we could do some coding next week. Hopefully I won't have to have a scarf hiding all of my stuff. Yeah, I'll tell HR that all of you say hello. I'm sure they'll love that. But really appreciate all y'all hanging out. Once again, you can join our Discord. Oh, thank you so much, Ed. You can join our very, very active Discord either through Patreon or a Twitch sub. And I hope y'all have a great time. Give everybody a raise. I would if I could, including myself. Trust me. But bye! We're going to raid. Does anybody care who we raid? Are there any good coders going right now? Otherwise, I'll just pick a random one. YOLO. I'll just pick something. Alright.